Blue social. Blue social. Blue social. Blue social. Get a clue. Blue social. Blue social. Blue social. Blue social.
Hi everyone, my name is April Ongbanyo. I'm from Cebu,
That's
proudly.
what the OV stands for.
Yes, that's
okay.
the OV, Ongbanyo. And yeah, I'm from Cebu. And I'm a social entrepreneur, business development consultant. But today I wear my hat as an advocate and entrepreneur behind My Soul Briefcase. Thanks for laying this out here too, Cree. So this is My Soul Briefcase. Well, this is the box. It comes with 50 cards. So it's a self-help therapy cards. It comes with a user guide. So here in the box, you'll see a user guide. We can go through this later because I know we want to try it together. Mm-hmm. And it has 50 cards, as I mentioned, with different colors. So we have here 10 cards that are green. We have 10 cards also that are red. Over here we've got blue cards, 10 of these, and then 20 yellow cards. Yeah, these cards are really meant to become your companion. We call it your sidekick in your inner journey. And we call it as an inner journey for mental health, for self-reflection, self-awareness. And this is really a tool that we want to share to the rest of the world.
It's not always the easiest journey to confront our innermost selves.
Yes.
But it is one that we are on, and regardless, it's definitely very beneficial to be talked about, and more people need to know about it.
Definitely.
So are we ready to do a set?
Of course. So as you see, or as I mentioned earlier, there's a user guide. So the creator, my partner and co-founder of My Soul Briefcase, who is Giza, shout out to Giza. She's really the one behind this, who designed the cards, inspired by and using the techniques that she uses as her profession as a psychologist and mental health professional. You'll see that the first 3 colors are like a traffic light. In a nutshell, really, the green cards like the stoplight or the traffic light. It's, to get started or you go, right? And these are usually cards that have prompts. So over here we have prompts that get you started with, your reflection. It helps you define more specifically let's say, for example, you wanted to sit with your particular emotion today or a particular relationship, then it helps you kind of identify and describe it much deeper and much better and more specific. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like you said, it's a challenge to actually sit with yourself and talk about a particular emotion and really describe it. Sometimes you'll just say, I feel angry right now, or when I think about the situation, I feel sad. But how do you describe that sadness?
Yeah, I think that's where putting your emotions into words is always a difficult thing.
Yes.
And that's why I really like these question prompts, because it forces me, force is a little harsh, but it really encourages me to ask myself those difficult questions.
Definitely. Yeah. And, as I called it earlier, as self-help therapy cards, that's how you also kind of unlock or unravel those experiences and emotions. And with therapy, if you've gone to therapy, that's how, that conversation also goes. It's not really just about you being asked or grilled or forced. Mm-hmm. It's really for you to slowly open up. So hopefully green means go, and you're ready to go inward, as we call it.
I'm ready to go inward.
Yeah.
Do I pick one?
Yeah, so let's
Are we both
get
gonna
started
pick one
with
from
green.
each? Okay.
So our recommendation is, when you get started, or if you spend some time with My Soul Briefcase, you try to be specific. Let's say experience or a specific emotion or relationship that you want to reflect on this, very moment, or that, space you want to create with yourself. Mm-hmm. So I want you to think for maybe a few seconds. It's all you. It's up to you. And you pick one card from the green
Got
pile.
my first briefcase.
And then me too, I'll get one. So you have that sort of emotion or situation or person maybe, or the relationship with a person that you have in mind. And as you think about it, you can go through, what the sentence prompts is on your card. So if you want to share,
definitely.
This is a safe space. So
yeah, I think so. This is a Clue HQ, and so I definitely feel safe here. Okay, so this situation I am facing, I'm gonna, I guess, show it a little bit to the screen so people know what it looks like. This situation I'm facing can be likened to, I would say, feeling numb and shut down.
Okay.
If it had a weight, it would be a 4, so not too heavy. And I guess I'll share a little more about the situation afterwards, but it feels like I'm shut down. I'm paralyzed, and it sounds like silence in this case, and it makes me feel afraid, I think, kind of it. So yeah, this specific situation that I'm thinking of, and I kind of mentioned it to you earlier this week, is that I'm in a place where I'm saying yes to all of these amazing opportunities that I'm so grateful for. But I think I got to a place earlier this week where there was just so much happening that I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I have so many things on my plate, and then I know it by theory to ask for help, and I know it at the back of my head to use all these tools, but instead it sounds like and looks like me laying on the floor and not being able to move.
Aww.
And that was really like the picture of my head of me earlier this week on a Monday, thinking where my week was going. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, and for
See, I wouldn't have
trusting
even
the space.
Yeah. See, I like when it's weird when not weird, I guess, because this is what this is exactly for. But looking at these prompts made me see myself again in that space, but I never would have put words to it. I would have just explained it to my closest family and friends as like, oh, a brief like moment.
Yes.
Yeah. So I definitely would have downplayed it.
Right.
But reliving it, I'm like, no, it's a thing.
You acknowledge it, and I think that's where the awareness kicks in. And with the green cards, right, you get started, you describe, define, and be more specific as best you can. We also encourage people to like journal when they use the cards, and I actually restarted my sort of practice or the way I journal, and it's helped a lot because you know how sometimes you think about journaling, you think about like, oh, what happened today? Oh, and when we were little, it's like, dear diary, this person, blah, 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 or this happened, blah, blah, blah. It's usually just like the top of the surface that we kind of write about and, recap. But with these cards, you dig deeper, kind of one layer down perhaps, or even two. And with the other cards, you're going to get in there. This is also very, very helpful.
Yeah, and I think I will say, because I've always been a big journaler. Is that a word? A journaler? But I've always journaled, and I've done this exercise before with people. And so that's why I'm saying it's been a while also that I've said it out loud. But it's also a very different experience to say it out loud.
Yes, definitely.
Because then I feel like it takes away, like, not that it takes away, like, it's important, but also I realize it was a moment when I say it out loud and it's not attached to me.
Right.
Which kind of reminds me also of an analogy that I have. It's not about briefcases, but one of my mentors always taught me about backpacks. And so she tells us that when we're born with a backpack, and through life experiences, you put rocks in the backpack and it gets heavier and heavier, and then your job is to kind of unload that backpack. So a little bit kind of like the briefcase where you're going through different baggage.
Yeah, hopefully one briefcase at a time.
Yes, okay.
You lighten that baggage.
So what's in your briefcase?
My turn. Actually, this one is, you had several words. Mine has like, it says here, when I feel this way, I tend to think ... ABC. So you'd think that, oh, I have this card, it's like a test. Oh, it's easy because it's like, just
Multiple choice,
or it's like, just one line. But it's not multiple choice. It's like you actually have to fill it up.
Yeah.
And the challenge is actually bigger because now you're asked to really think and express. So for me, a certain, situation that I'm also in right now, which I'll share a little bit more later, maybe as we go through the cards, right? But For me, when I feel this way, I tend to think I'm overwhelmed. That's A. I tend to think B, this is too much for me, so should just give up. And C, I tend to also think that this is probably not meant for me. So, so there are different ways of saying these things, or there are different thoughts that you have on one particular situation. So sometimes, I can pick up this card. I've picked up this card a few times, actually, and thinking about other situations. And sometimes it's more than ABC. I actually think about 10 different things. But yeah, again, green cards get you started. And, it's the first step, and, that helps a lot already.
Yeah, and when you're saying that, I think of myself, I don't even know your situation, but those exact thoughts I've had too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is really like, yeah, I guess it's pretty normal to have these thoughts. Yeah. And I don't even know what your situation is. So,
I know, and I think, it's also nice when you're doing it together with someone you trust, someone you love, or even as a group, because, you share your experiences. You can have different kinds of experiences, but you now can empathize and see, okay, these people around me are also going through their own waves and their journeys, and you have that sense of awareness for yourself, but also for the other person. Sure. Okay, cool.
So from that same situation, we go from green to...
And we kind of follow the traffic light for this round. We go with the yellow ones. So there are actually 20 cards here. So trick question. Traffic light, guys. What does yellow mean?
Speed up. No, just kidding. Slow down.
Slow down, right? So
traffic in the Philippines or traffic
in general?
Elsewhere.
Or officially or legally.
Yeah, legally.
Legally speaking. So with yellow cards, as we said, slowing down in traffic, this is actually more, like I said, from the surface. You take one level deeper. This gets you even deeper. The yellow cards, there are 20 of them, and the prompts would actually really try to kind of unravel even further, and kind of tickle your mind, your heart, and your soul into expressing and understanding even better what it is that you are feeling or thinking about your situation. So let's pick one yellow card.
Okay. And it also made me think, I feel like even if it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I tend to only reflect on my life when I'm going through something, but when I'm happy, I don't ask those questions. And I feel like even if I was in a good place, there's always something more to express.
Yes.
Feel your feelings is always something I go with and go by. So, yeah, I feel like you don't even need to be sad to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually really nice because I'll start.
Oh, okay. Mine is fitting too. Okay.
Because my yellow card says, some of my happiest memories are ... Today, a happy memory that I want to focus on is ... In that memory, I was doing ... and I was surrounded by ... So you see, sometimes it's 3 to 4 prompts. So again, it's really getting you to imagine, picture, describe even further, right? And I like how you mentioned about also using the cards on happy times, using the cards with, let's say, milestones in your life. And, emotions are a spectrum. Life is a spectrum of different types of experiences. So it's processing it that these cards are there for. And yeah, if we were feeling a little bit down or actually up high or somewhere in between, there's no right time to use the cards, right? If you feel like it, if you have an experience that you want to kind of process and sit with, then, feel free to do so. But with, more time with the cards, you can definitely express further. So actually, I'd still want to relate this to what I was thinking about earlier, right? So before moving along to another case or another situation. So still thinking about that, some of my happy memories are doing things together. And today, a happy memory that I want to focus on is some time at the beach. In that memory, I was doing a lot of outdoor activities and eating, and I was surrounded by the people I love, my family. So that's a hint already at the end that I was actually thinking of a situation about my family. And yeah, I mean, honestly, the sort of initial, I guess, reflection, I already lost the cards. I shuffled it already. For the green cards, it was the not so great, dynamic in family life, right? That I was thinking about, and the challenges, and everybody has their own challenges with
So we also
family.
tend to focus on what's wrong sometimes and forget to focus on the good times.
The other good times too. So for me, it was actually nice. That's why I was grinning when, when we got started with yellow, is because, of course, like, even if I have these challenges and I feel overwhelmed, going through these things with my family, then, it's not always just the problems or the challenges. There are also happy memories. And I'm reminded that, okay, there were also challenges we've been through, or I've been through when dealing with my family, but we pulled through, right? So, it's one thing at a time, one challenge at a time. So thinking in a more positive light kind of gets me a little bit more encouraged, right? So, yeah, I mean, maybe this is what the universe or my soul briefcase really wanted me to look on and reflect more, because we randomly picked our
random cards. But I think that's the best part of this set, because it'll resonate. I mean, we make things resonate to ourselves however it does. But no matter what, there is some kind of order to it that will relate to anyone's situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead with yours.
And I'm telling you, there is an order, and that's why my card says, if I could take a break, I would. And if I go back to my situation of me earlier in this week, if I could take a break, I would just turn my phone off.
Okay.
And it's very ironic, because at that point, of course, the nature of my business is in social media. And I do advocate all the time for staying social, because for me, social media is not the enemy.
Yes.
And staying online actually helped me stay connected and helped me with my healing process. But also there are times where, and it said if I could take a break, I know I could. And I knew when I was receiving an overwhelm of notifications that all I would do is just put my phone aside or turn it off. But did I? I did not. But it's just funny to think about now, where it's like, I know where I could have boundaries, and I know where I could set those boundaries for myself, but it's just in doing it now.
Yeah.
So this is just telling me that, Christelle, you're overwhelmed, but also an easy fix to it was just get off your phone and
once
deal
in a
with it.
while. Yes, take a break from the
Yeah.
phone. I mean, without you really specifying, the situation, you did share a bit that you wanted to kind of get off the noise or just get away for a bit. But you saying that, using this prompt, that somehow the phone is one factor, I don't know if it was conscious for you, but at least you put it on the surface and like, oh, okay, sometimes my phone does overwhelm me. The notifications actually get to me sometimes. So, because, we'd never know, right? Like, overwhelm can come to us in different ways. And at least for this particular situation, from my understanding with what you shared, that it does matter for you, like how much you spend time on your phone, and easily you kind of found a solution, right? Like once in a while, take a break off the phone. And, saying
it's so obvious, but also it's like, now saying it out loud, I'm like, also I'm a little more accountable now.
Yeah, because you said
yeah.
And that's right. We sometimes already have the solution in our heads, or we already know it. And the cards just help us unlock it, or at least express it. And I think that's the cool part about it, because when we were working on these cards and designing it and putting it together, what she said is it's also really just trying to be more, I would say, specific. I think that's the healing process, or the processing rather, of your emotion or your situation. And you kind of become more specific, the better, so that once you're specific, then you know what to do. And that's actually a really good segue because that's how the red cards, so we can put back the yellow cards.
Solutions?
So the red cards, this is where they come in because red, back to the traffic light, it is for stop, right? It's somehow telling you, okay, take a pause, and now what kind of action step or call to action do you have for yourself? Having processed, that situation or that emotion or relationship. So these are almost like action cards, so to speak. Accountability cards. And you can pick one.
Okay.
And sometimes when you're very much general with the situation or how you are kind of processing something, then your solution is also quite general or vague. But going back to us digging deeper and being more specific and having more clarity, that can also translate to clearer and more specific solutions or actions. Being able to understand ourselves better through the words that we know, through our own wisdom, through our own expression.
Yeah, and I really believe that we already have the solutions within us always. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's like, even when your closest of family and friends will tell you what to do or what not to do, for myself, I really do it in my own time and according to whatever I want. Yes. So I think this is the good thing about this is because nobody's forcing us to be accountable or anything like that, but it's like you get that aha moment of like, okay, actually I already knew how to fix my own problems to begin with.
No, that's why we say it's also about empowering and developing and unlocking our inner wisdom. And that's what Giza and I say, and we try to advocate for people to use the cards, but even just without the cards, when you're thinking about your own well-being, your own mental health, you are sort of your own, like, you're your first aid, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where empowerment comes from. It's from realizing that you got you.
Yeah, exactly. And you have within you the power, the ideas, the solutions. It's just for you to kind of unearth them and acknowledge them and say them out loud and hopefully translate to action.
I love how these are like affirmations also.
Yeah, so you want to read out your red card.
So my red card says, I choose to show up today as someone who ... And I think I choose to show up today as someone who is brave. And I say that because in my specific situation, going back to the whole empowerment story, I think, metaphorically speaking, nobody else got up from the floor than myself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so for me, it's very brave, and I'm proud of myself for continuing to get up and to continue to process, I think, and acknowledge that I already have all the answers within me, because that's really what empowers me most, in reminding myself that it's a brave thing to do.
Yes.
To keep going.
I mean, so thanks for sharing that, Cree. I also think that us trying to, I guess, like we said earlier, pat ourselves in the back for being conscious or aware with ourselves, our limitations, etc. But at the end of the day, what we do next or decision that we make, it's still up to us, right? And even from using the cards, it's your choice to spend 5 minutes or 15 minutes with the cards with yourself. And that's brave too, because you're like, oh, I'm going to have this conversation with myself and deal with this particular situation. But after, you use the cards and have processed it, what can you do about the situation? That's what hopefully the red cards could help you out, or in general, the whole experience or the whole process. And this is actually what my card says. My biggest takeaway from the exercise is, or are ... Like for me, I think the biggest takeaway, I said it earlier, that I have to also look at the situation in a broader sense, see the good and the bad, The challenges is not like black and white, but there's really so many different areas for it. And for me to actually just also try to spend time and acknowledge that, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed with this particular situation. And it's okay that I'm overwhelmed. But it's also like reminding me that, you know, there's a reason, there's a purpose. And I was sharing that it was something about my family. So I was like, okay, you know, there are things that I am happy and also very grateful and very, you know, excited about, right? So it's not just all about the negative side. Yeah. And I think that was my biggest takeaway. And moving forward, you know, I'll just try to nudge myself if I kind of feel weighed down thinking about this situation again. It's like, hey, you know, this too shall pass, or, you know, you can pull through, right? You have the tools, you have the people, you have some resources around you so that you can actually carry on and deal with this situation.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because people deal with it very differently. And it wasn't asked to me what my takeaway was.
Yes, but please go ahead.
But I'm just saying that at the end of the day, feelings are always valid.
Exactly.
And my thing is, we're the only ones who define good or bad. And we're the ones who define whatever in our lives, really. And so this is a tool that I really love to keep sharing with people because it's worked for me. And so it's not like hey, it works for me, use it also because it's the only option kind of thing. But for me, what I like about it is that at the end of it, whether or not it works for you, those conversations are had.
Yes.
You know?
You actually at least let it out.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, whether it works or not, it's important to have these conversations anyway. Yeah.
Exactly. Thanks for saying that. And, you know, when we talk about My Soul Briefcase, we're not saying that, you know, when you pull out the card, it tells you what to do.
Oh, no, I wish.
Right? I wish too that there's a magical box of cards that can solve all our problems. But no, that's not, that doesn't come with the cards.
Not in the terms and conditions. Let's check.
But what we do say is that we want you to feel empowered to discover your own wisdom. So our own wisdom, like you shared and I also shared earlier, you know, we've got the answers within. We've got sort of the power to sort of make things happen, or at least turn the page, or, you know, if it's a choice, is it A or B? And it's up to us. So again, it's just a tool. We're not saying that the cards is like your one size fits all package that will help you, you know, solve the problems or challenges that you're facing. And it's a step. And it's one of many. We always try to encourage people also that have their own practices for mental health and for...
He wants to join in on the fun also.
Yes, we have a special guest maybe later.
Yeah. My you know, animals are the biggest help with mental health.
Yes.
And I think we've all found that out in the pandemic also.
Definitely.
Especially in the pandemic, yeah.
And I mean, you know, trying to link that too, it's like this is one of many tools, and a lot of us have our own ways of dealing. You know, some of us escape to nature, or, you know, talk to our pets.
Or our pets talk to us.
Or we paint, or we do something creative. So there are many different ways to allow ourselves to, or relieve or release the kind of tension that we have. So, you know, mix this up a bit with other things is also very helpful.
And you know what? I think before we wrap up, we have to acknowledge also that this is your 2-year anniversary.
Yes.
So congratulations, and a huge, huge, huge accomplishment, honestly, sharing this and putting this deck together. But maybe you can also share the promo and how to find it.
Yes, definitely.
And how to purchase a set of cards.
Thank you so much. So this year we also launched our own website, so it's mysoulbriefcase.com. So that's where you can order. For our 2nd-year anniversary, we have a promo that you can get 2 card decks for 2,000 pesos. Actually, we're gonna throw in a special gift wrap with that. So we also support other local producers. So the gift wrap that you would get is actually from northern Philippines. And these are hand-woven towels that we turn into like a gift wrap. So I hope for this month, it's August, we'll have more people who want to grab this for themselves, but also for their loved ones.
Yeah.
And try it out. And hopefully it's
Unravel the
also
inner
an
journey.
experience that we can share with other people in our lives, like you have. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Friends and family. I've sent this also everywhere.
Yeah, I'm
to
sure.
couples getting married and
Yeah.
people that
It's
are
a tool
going
for
through different
anyone
things.
who's open to it, I think, and who's willing to, like it says, unravel their inner journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the cards can sit there all they want too, but if you don't come in and look inward and actually have that conversation and reflection, then nothing can happen. So again, it's really encouraging more people to trust and maybe give yourself, that, like we said, the acknowledgement that the wisdom is actually within, and we have the power to empower ourselves. We have the power also to, make decisions, to make the different situations and experiences that we have in our life more, I guess, a part of what we do is not just, okay, we're just going with the flow, but we're actually steering it to the direction that we want. Now I think of that, it's like, oh, it's also like driving, right? So we were talking about the traffic lights, but it's really like driving. We really say it there too, that, this is a journey. It's also a way for us to start building up our skills on how we drive through the courses that we have to face, right? So I think there's an anecdote that says mental health is not a destination. It's not something that we are like, oh, I'm going to get there and have mental health or have well-being, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really the journey. It's how you get there, how you learn how to drive.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is a tool that, can come along with you. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you.
Amazing.
So yeah, thanks everyone.
Blue Social, Blue Social, Blue Social, Blue Social. Get a clue? Blue Social, Blue Social, Blue Social, Blue Social.